Hey everybody, how you doing? This is your man Jason Miles, and I have a question for you. Have you ever wondered how multimillionaires and 100 millionaires and billionaires think? Well, on today's show, we have nothing less than greatness for you, okay? We have Dave Seymour on today. Dave Seymour is one of the gentlemen that were on Flipping Boston. He's gone on to do great things, created huge education programs, has spoken around the world at this point, and has now created other opportunities. And today, he's going to give you the opportunity to kind of learn some insight from him as a successful investor. And I also want to make sure that you take a moment, if you're watching this on YouTube, to subscribe. If you're listening to this on your podcast, subscribe, share, engage with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you'd like to hear and who you'd like to hear from. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. Peace. Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up. Good morning, everyone. Hello, how is everyone doing today? This is Jason Miles with the Real Estate 360 podcast. And listen, this is all about real estate, every single aspect of real estate, from the beginning to the end, or from the rooter to the tutor, however you want to say it, right? And it's also about business and mindset and all that, because really all of that is what it takes to find success in this. You have to make sure that you're constantly, informing yourself of new things and new people and new processes, because that's how we get ahead and that's how we stay ahead, right? So today we're doing a two-part, today and next week. So we're going to start it today. And that is with Mr. Dave Seymour. Now, that's right. And for those of you that don't know Mr. Dave Seymour, Dave is a retired veteran of the fire service and launched his real estate career over a decade ago. He very, very quickly became one of the country's top investors. His transactions are well over, $10 million, 8 figures, or 7 figures, 8 figures in business over the duration, and counting, by the way, and counting. Okay. Let's see. He's been on television. He had an A&E show. You guys might be familiar with Flipping Boston. He's been on CBS, ABC, CNBC, Fox News, and the list just kind of goes on and on. Dave's blue-collar attitude in this white-collar world is why investors seek his advice. He's worked alongside some of this country's top investors and marketers and so on and so forth. His team at Freedom Venture has disrupted the private equity landscape by allowing investors access to institutional quality commercial real estate. And these are assets that have been typically unavailable to the average Joe, right? People like, most of the listeners and myself, right? And he's created ways to get into that. And those are things that we'll talk about in the next episode. But Dave, welcome.
Yes. What's up, Jason? How are you, brother?
Man, I am fantastic.
It's funny when I hear that intro. I keep looking over my shoulder and thinking to myself, who the hell is this cat talking about?
That's
and then
right.
I realize, holy moly, brother, it's me. I've taken some leaps and bounds for sure, some leaps of faith and implementation. So I'm just stoked to talk to my people about our products, our services, our mindsets. Just hanging around with guys like you, man, sharing the message and not the mess, right? That's what it's all about.
That's exactly right. And you know what? Listen, having had an opportunity to work with you in some capacity over the past several years, it's been amazing. I always enjoy. Now, I've been doing this for quite a while myself, and I always enjoy seeing just mass success. Working with you and your product on the road, seeing how you interacted with people, how much of a personal approach you took to someone else's success. That's not a common thing.
No, look, man, I appreciate that. My journey doesn't come from Yale, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a graduate of Harvard University. You know what I'm saying? Like like a lot of sustainable businesses. I was ground up, brother, ground up from that blue collar background, and I've always prided myself on keeping it real. I don't ever want to, overpromise and underdeliver in anything I do, from a real estate transaction to an educational transaction to a podcast transaction. I started old school, man. As you said in the intro, the fire department, and 16 years of paramedicine and fire service, and working construction on my days off, and just not understanding any financial fortitude. And, I was always trading time for money. And that's, with all respect, that's a loser's bet for long-time financial freedom. I was taught, as many people were, Jason, probably yourself included, if you want to make more money, then you work more hours. And, time's the only commodity that you can never get it back. So, I've always been grounded. All right, no airs and graces, no ego. So that's kind of like my philosophy and foundation for everything I do, bro.
It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to feel, because, again, having worked with a lot of people, I have never witnessed the kind of personal attention you give to other people as they begin their journey in real estate, which is where we're going with this today.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
So, a lot of the listeners here are, they're either just starting out, or they have a little bit of success. They've done a deal or two, not anything, kind of out of the ordinary. They're just getting started, a lot of them. It's really important for me to share, processes with people, the whys, the hows. Because, as you know, it can be very expensive for people. And even with this podcast, it's impossible for us to, say everything in a 20 or 30-minute time slot, even though it's every week. Yeah. It's just impossible to do. It's taken years to learn some of these processes and refine them and develop your own strategies, from it. So when you started out, as you said, you were doing what it takes. You weren't on the couch watching TV after you got off work, for 2 and 3 hours a day. You got off of work and you went to work, so you didn't have to go to work in the future the way you've been working.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. Yeah, for sure. Look, entrepreneurship is where we quit a 40 or a 60-hour a week job so that we can work 90 hours a week in passion.
That's right. And love it, though. Right? And love it. Yeah.
Yeah, and love it. Look, it's about that beginning, those seeds of those seeds of entrepreneurship and dreams. A dream is just a dream. A goal is a dream with a date attached to it, right? It's setting some goals. It's setting some benchmarks for your journey going forward. When I started my first benchmark, and this is going to sound a little silly, but my first benchmark is I wanted to get 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and I didn't want to be living in fear, doubt, and insecurity and financial challenge every day. So how did I go about that? Look, the steps are not revolutionary, Jason. They're proven steps to success, starting with education, implementing what you learn, finding somebody who's been where you want to go. Stop telling everybody what you know and start asking some questions, right? Mm-hmm. Ask questions of people who've been where you want to be. And that's mentorship, man. That's aligning yourself with somebody who's in a position to lift you up. I did some work with Damon John, a guy from Shark Tank.
Right.
We did some educational stuff together. And Damon is one of the little sayings he used to have that always stuck with me was, I'm never interested in giving somebody a handout, but I'm always inspired to give somebody a hand up, right? Mm-hmm. Investing in people who invest in themselves is attractive to mentors and entrepreneurs. So, that's the foundation. That's kind of like step one.
That's right. And one of the biggest things is with investors or people that say they want to be investors, because obviously we meet people that have been attempting to do real estate, in some cases for 20 or 30 years and really haven't had any success. And that's, it's not that they were, every day, every week, even every month doing something towards their goal. It was just something every now and then that they thought that they wanted to do, and so on and so forth. But when they tell their story, it's been, oh, I've been trying to do this for 3 decades now, right? But it's a shift that a person has to create in their mind. It's a choice. It's a decision. It's a mental shift that one has to have, and saying, you got to stop saying, I want to invest in real estate, and own it and say, I am a real estate investor, because it's in that ownership that things begin to move, right?
Yeah. You're talking about the pattern of synapses within our brains. I mean,
exactly.
That's what you're talking about.
Exactly.
It's not foo-foo. It's not imaginary, right? What I think about is what I bring about. It's the law of attraction by Rhonda Byrne, The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and undermining the law of attraction. I had a student come up to me one day and she said, Dave, I just figured it out. I said, what's that, darling? She said, all my life I've wanted to soar with the eagles, but I've been hanging out with the turkeys. Right? Who is the influence around you to help your mind move in the right direction? And look, man, I'm going to be very, very honest, as I always am. It ain't for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will always find a reason why something won't work, and unfortunately, they're going to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people will find a reason why things will work, and guess what? They are right. It's a decision. It's a daily decision. I look at my board in my office here, and it says, replace my fear with faith and then act. Mm-hmm. And are my actions in line with my intentions? What is your intention when you get up every day? If you are just dragging your sorry ass through an 8-hour workday and it's beating you down and it's beating you up, then stay there or don't, right? Get off your ass and do something different. And, it's a decision that isn't easy. If anybody tells you it's easy, they're a liar. I personally, my own personal journey, went through a lot of financial fear. Relationships that I thought were going to be forever have not been forever because of the changes that I make.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of corny, man, but it really is it's a daily affirmation, Jason.
Mm-hmm.
This conversation is setting me up for my day.
Yeah.
I'm talking to a like-minded brother from another.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
Like same journey stuff. So for your listeners, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. And those that seek shall find. And if you are on a journey to change, when the universe taps you on the shoulder and gives you some direction, don't second guess it. Act upon it. If this podcast inspires you, it gets you to reconsider some thinking. Don't just think, act. Do something. Pick up the phone. Call whoever you need to call to be able to do something different today than what you did yesterday. Somebody said to me a long time ago, how do you create wealth? And this is for any business. And I use the acronym HOW, H-O-W. How do you create anything? Well, the first thing you do is H stands for honesty. Be honest with who you are, where you are, and what your current situation is. Stop bullshitting yourself. Be true, right? Honesty. And then when you start a journey, be open-minded to the information that comes your way from mentors, from coaches, from people who are doing what you want to do at a higher level. And then the W is the wanting to do it, the willingness to act upon the information. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And if you keep that up front and then act upon the messages that are given to you, through the universe and the people that are around you, then it's on, baby. It's on like Donkey Kong. We're not playing around it anymore. Right? In motion, you're taking action. So
that's right.
I know that's very big picture, but it's critical, bro. It's the foundation for everything.
I mean, it is big picture, but at the same time, it isn't, right? Because without those things, you can't get on the path to where you want to go. And it doesn't mean that a person is going to get it right away. It doesn't mean that struggle won't exist after this. It changes, but it's understanding that really it's just the process. I spent 2.5 years being hard-headed.
Yeah.
Okay. 2.5 years of being hard-headed and went through those exact same changes, and then more to come after I did find success, right? But 2.5 years, I want to do it on my own. I want to do it on my own. I'm at the library. I didn't have the money. I made every excuse to not spend, or quote unquote spend money on a mentor or on coaching. I made every excuse for that, okay? Every single excuse I could make. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Keep in mind, I didn't have a job. My job was to go out and find real estate. I was making horrible deals for my first 2.5 years. You make a little money here and then you lose it all trying to figure it out, right? And it wasn't.
Yeah, go. Keep going. No, I'm with you. Keep going.
I got off the couch one day and I realized that it wasn't worth, the decisions that I was making was not worth what I was going through, and I had to make a shift. And I was already so invested in the business. I mean, I could speak the language with you. I just wasn't really, I didn't have anything to show for it. A few deals closed here and there, but that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to find the money. I don't care what it takes, and I'm going to get someone that can help me do this. And guess what? 6 weeks it took me to find a decent deal and sell it. Okay, I made $6,000. I tell the story a million times. It took me 6 weeks to find that deal. I took $1,500 of it, reinvested in myself, in the education of me, another $1,500, and put it into marketing. And then the next month I tripled that. Yeah. Okay. And it's as you know, it's a numbers game, but it's a mind game that we play with ourselves on a daily basis.
You know what's so interesting about that, brother, is you're not unique, right? Mm-hmm. You're not unique in that journey. Mm-hmm. So we call them dig jams, DIGAM. Damn, I'm good. Just ask me, right? These people that stand in front, right? They stand in front of a proven, an expert, and they tell you all the reasons why they're so good at what they do, and yet they're standing there in front of you asking you a question for some advice or guidance. Look, I remember my first transaction, similar to yours, was for $5,000. It was a wholesale deal, and I got $5,000 in my hand. But that was after I invested $27,000 on credit cards to get some education behind me. Now you got to remember, I was in construction. I ran my own construction company, and I was absolutely dying by the mental challenge of this. And listen carefully, we are taught that if you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. Time is money. Like the broke mentality, right? The pauper mentality that was ingrained in me from my working class background did not serve me to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So it was the day that it takes courage and commitment to step up and first of all, look in the mirror and own it, right? Own the situation. Stop convincing yourself that, I'm the best person to do it all. I can't tell you how many times I've had to slap down a student who says, I got a guy. I know a girl. Right? I got someone. I got a contractor. I got a realtor. I got a guy who does some real estate, and they're going to help me. Well, guess what? Free transfer of information is totally invaluable. Okay? When there is a cost of goods and services, my 15 plus years of mistakes are worth millions of dollars, Jason.
That's right?
So if you want my mistakes, you gotta bring something to the table, okay? And it's not always money, right? I often look at a newer investor and I say, what's exciting about you? Why should I spend my precious time and knowledge with you? And I don't mean that from an egotistical standpoint. I mean it from a business standpoint. A transfer of goods and services. The services can be, the youth and the computer. I know somebody at City Hall who can give us a direct line to the inspectional services list, whatever it may be.
Right.
What's valuable. So I always say to a newer investor, write down 5 things that you're exceptional at. Tell me the 5 things that you do better than anybody else, and then tell me why I need those services. And if you can do that for me, then maybe there's an opportunity for us to align together. But people who show up and want something for nothing, it's not going to work. If you think you can do it all on your own, it's not going to work. I'm sober 31 years, right? I haven't.
Hey, congratulations,
Yeah.
man.
And one of the things I learned earlier on is that, if I'm sponsoring myself, I got a fool for a sponsor, brother. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
right.
right?
I get it. I'm telling you, I get it. We'll be around the country at different times when we could, anyway, and we would have these conversations with people. People would spend thousands of dollars to come and learn for a weekend, and they were just not really open to, a lot of them were not really open to learning. You get that, what do you call them, the dig jams?
Dig jams. Damn, I'm good. Just ask me. They ask you a question, and then they answer it.
Yeah. Oh, we had a million of them, and the worst ones were the realtors, right? But it happens all the time. You get someone who, they inherited a property, and all of a sudden they're a real estate investor. They get full of themselves, and they just can't get through those processes. And it's about letting go of that ego. Just let it go. Because if you don't know, you don't know. You're here because you want to learn. So be open-minded to learn. Even the people that are listening right now, and the people that are going to listen to the rebroadcast of this over and over, you're listening to get something out of it. So keep your mind open and get what you get. Use what makes sense to you, and then you can kind of discard the rest. Albeit, a lot of that stuff is going to be in the back of your mind. It's amazing what comes back to you. The things that our mind files away. It's like our subconscious is like, oh, you're going to need to know this one day. I'm just going to hold on to this, and I'll recall it when the time is right. Right?
Yeah. The subconscious is it's the it's the 24/7 that's ticking over in the background.
That's right.
And it lies, brother. It lies to us every single second of the day. The subconscious, it tells me I'm not smart enough. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too black. I'm too white. I'm too short. I'm too tall. I'm too male. I'm too female. And it just gives you all the freaking reasons why I can't do something.
Yeah.
And it takes a reprogramming. It takes a reprogramming to say, to scream at that subconscious, man, and recondition it, reposition it. If you talk to, I'm blessed today to have, millionaires and ultra billionaires in my network, and we don't think that way. We don't entertain it anymore. When I put my feet on the ground, Jason, every day is going to be kick ass. I was on a call 2 days ago with a guy who's got $2.5 billion that he wants to invest, right?
Yeah.
Billion with a B. And I'm like, I'm in these rooms today, and the firefighter, the firefighter is saying you're not worthy, and yet the businessman, the proven entrepreneur, which I am, says, it's almost like flipping the bird to the guy in the back. Like, don't talk. You were then, this is now.
That's right.
And here's the point. This is so good, brother. Real estate investing is not an event, okay? It is a process. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Are my actions in line with my intentions? Which way am I moving? And if you are honest with yourself and you look in the mirror and you say, you know what, I'm either lateral or I'm backing up, then you're losing. Because the winners are always in forward motion, right? And it doesn't have to be huge leaps. It can just be small ones. It's picking up the phone and calling somebody who can educate you. It's investing in yourself when the opportunity arises. It's not making excuses anymore. I always say people can do one or two things, Jason. They can make excuses or they can make progress. And it's totally up to them which way they go. And, real estate will always pay the better dividend through education. Period.
That's exactly right.
That's been my experience, brother.
That's exactly right. And my knowledge of it came from my previous career, and knowing that the people that I was around, the wealthy people that I was around at that time, which I was not one of, were, no matter where they made their money, it always wound up in one place. Always. It always went to real estate, in every single case. So I said, hey, listen, why try to reinvent the wheel here? Let me start where I'm going to finish. In terms of industry wise, right? And
get it. Sure.
And you just got to start there. I mean, when you don't have anything, you've got to start where you are. Okay, that doesn't mean you're going to stay there. Doesn't even mean you're going to stay there for long. I mean, some of the things that you're doing right now, Dave, which we'll get into later, are just, in a lot of people's minds, just astronomical. It's unfathomable.
Right. Right.
But it's real. If you can do 10, you can do 100. If you can do 100, you can do 1,000. And from 1,000, the first time you make 5 figures, the only thing you can think of is getting to 6 figures. And then once you're there, it's what's next. It just turns into what's next because that's human nature, right? So
for us,
yeah, exactly. But but at the same time, we're not going to go and buy a $20,000 Panerai the minute we get some money. We're gonna reinvest that, and we're gonna. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But you gotta love them, right? You're in a club when you have one of those.
Yeah,
you're in a club.
Yeah.
But
digress a little, couldn't we?
Just a little. Just a little. But it's you got to start where you are. And for me, and I know a lot of other people that are like me that are either in the business or just starting out in the business, you have to start with your first deal, and then it's your second deal. Every deal is unique until you can learn how to scale. And a lot of people want to go out and do 10, 15, 20 deals a month, but they don't know what it takes. Not just the money.
Right.
Not just the money, but the processes and the systems that have to be in place to get that done and allow you to live some semblance of a life.
Right.
So,
right. It's funny how some people just take on another job. And the truth of the matter is it's okay if it's another job. So wholesaling, buy, fix, and flip is a job. You don't wholesale, you don't buy, fix, and flip, you don't get paid, right?
Right. That's correct.
So, it's amazing how some people take on that extra job, but they don't have the infrastructure or the systems to support it in some kind of automation. And that's the next level up after you do that first deal. Is your mentor automated? What is the definition of a mentor? A mentor's got to be somebody who's accessible. A mentor's got to be somebody who can duplicate their own process. They've got to be a great communicator. They've got to want to teach, right? These are all of the criteria of a mentor that are important. And that proven method, right? And not be successful just one time, but be successful every time. Here's who is not your mentor. My Uncle Charlie did 2 deals in 1978. He made $100,000 on one of them, and he lost, $75,000 on the other 2. He probably is not going to be the mentor for you. You know what I mean? Right? Or what's this one? I got a guy. He's going to be my mentor. Really? How much time can he give you? Oh, I don't know. Maybe 5 or 10 minutes a week. He's super busy. Well, guess what? That's not your mentor either. And when you do find somebody who ticks all the boxes for mentorship, I promise you, you will not get that service for free because it's so valuable, right? So for me, man, I invested in him like $27,000 in education and coaching. I spent $20,000 to sit with Jack Canfield for one day. 1 day, just to hang out with the guy and be in his presence and learn his mindset knowledge. So, invest in yourself. What is it? I think it was Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said, invest in a job, you make a good paycheck. Invest in yourself, you make a lifelong career or something along those lines.
Right,
so,
right.
You're my people, Jason.
That's right. Now let me ask you this: in your current position in life, knowing that you're doing things on a much larger scale, a couple more zeros, 2, 3 more zeros behind it now.
Yeah.
Right now, in your life as it is today, are you still investing in yourself?
Oh, of course. Look, Jason, I made a decision with COVID to pivot into a position that it takes approximately 12 to 18 months to begin to see some return, right? So what would that be like if you had basically, no income for 12 to 18 months? So yeah, I'm investing in myself.
Yeah.
Yes, I am investing in myself. Look, I'm blessed that I got reserves and some investments, et cetera, et cetera. But, investing in myself is being vulnerable. It's talking to people who are operating at a higher level than I am and explaining to them my challenges, what can I do for you? We've got deals that don't always fit our buy box. They fit your buy box. Can I put you at the top of the list for those assets?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not buying 500 units at a time for, 100 million, but you are. When I find them and underwrite them, can I bring them to you? And in return, can you help me learn more about what it takes to raise 10, 20, 30 million dollars at a whack?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all the same, but it's all new. Right?
That's right. That's right.
When I say it's all the same, it's people, brother. It's people. People relate to authenticity. Don't ever try and be something you're not. So I'm consistently investing in myself in that example for sure.
And that's really, it's beyond important to do that. I was fortunate enough to find a mentor that really took me under his wing. I mean, he went so far above and beyond what I think the call of duty was that it literally transformed my life. But having said that, when he showed up, I was already there, and I don't mean winning. I was working, I was doing well, and then he showed up and I was ready. That's what I mean. I was present. So when he showed up, it just ignited, and that's a mutual associate of ours, Gonzo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Even to this day, every opportunity I get to work with him, to me is, it's like, how they say you never want to meet your famous actor or whatever that is. It was totally opposite for me, right? It was like, okay, I met this guy, we're doing good, I'm learning, and he just decided to teach me more and more, but I wanted more and more. I was asking for it.
Correct.
I was, and it just literally transformed my life in terms of the way we look at things, the way we view money, the way we handle money. I remember the first time I made what I considered to be real money, and I called him and said, look, I have literally no idea who I need to call, but I can't buy enough real estate to make this make sense. I need some more write-offs here. And then he taught me about an aspect of business that I had only seen on MSNBC or heard about in passing, right?
Yeah.
And to them it was, this is what you do. That's what you do.
I remember the first year, my tax bill was higher than my last year's earnings as a firefighter.
Yep. That was the year.
I went, what the, what? I throw the profanities out there. That was even with, depreciation, cost segregation, asset protection, structure. I mean, there's just so much that you learn and that is supported by the people who've been there before you.
Every time.
I mean, when the student is ready, the
teacher will show up.
The teacher will appear.
That's right.
So that's it. Just be ready, and don't ignore it when it shows up.
I have a saying. People ask me if they ask all the time, "Are you ready? Are you ready to go? Are you ready to do this? Are you ready to do that?" Whenever I hear, "Are you ready?" Miles, Jason, are you ready? My response is always the same. I stay ready because it takes too long to get ready.
Boom, chakalaka. I'm going to steal that. I stay ready because it takes too long to get ready.
That's right.
Like
that's exactly right.
I like it.
So and you got to be there. You have to be present all the time.
We use a saying back in England. It says, "I'm suited, I'm booted, and I'm ready to go."
That's right. Suited and booted, baby.
I love it.
So I have a question for you. And then we're going to wrap this one up. Okay, so you have to answer this question. Finish this phrase, actually. I am just one deal away from...
Wow. Oh, I am just one deal away from more serenity. I don't know.
Okay, all right. Hey, that's fair. That's a good one. I ask my students that on a regular basis, whether they're coming in or are already in, what is your goal? What is it that you're really trying to do? It's a question that you're either going to answer, give an external answer, like I'm one deal away from making $100,000, or you're going to give an internal answer. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about it because it was like more serenity, but also the ability to give more, right? That one deal away from being able to give more as well. So, and people need help this time around with the COVID. So, yeah, great question.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for taking this time with us today. My listeners, if you're listening, listen, share this. Get your mind prepared for the success that you say that you want. Make the choice to be what you say you want to be and do, because therein lies the shift. There begins the journey that you'll be on, because right now, if you haven't owned it, you're just wasting time. This is your man Miles, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.